Okay, yeah, so I've hit the record button, and so what we're going to do is we're recording this because we got a couple of people that really want to be on our expansion teams here, and unfortunately they weren't able to make it today. But here's the thing: obviously, preference is going to go to the people that were able to make it, and so we're going to start off. We're going to help you guys out in every way we can. First and foremost, let me just introduce myself. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Michael Hellickson. I'm with Club Wealth, one of the coaches here at Club Wealth. Brian's got to run and grab something real quick. But that's Brian Curtis jumping on. Oh, now he's jumping on his headset too. I don't know what's going on with our technology lately, but we're both getting relegated to having to wear headsets on webinars. I don't know why. But anyway, long story short, Brian is one of our coaches here at Club Wealth. Brian has a great story as well. I mean, my gosh, Brian, when he started off working with us back in the day, he was doing about $225,000 in GCI, which is not bad, right? It's pretty good GCI, particularly in a market where the average sales price is like $35. I'm totally joking, brother. But essentially, Brian went from, in the first 7 months in coaching, he went from a grand total of $225,000 in GCI to $675,000 in the next 7 months. Then, in addition to that, he moved from 675 to 975 the next year, and this year, so last year he did over 250 transactions. This year he's on track to do 350 transactions. Brian is absolutely killing it, and he's one of my favorite people in the entire world, and he's also the gentleman that owns what we call Club Wealth Expansion Services, 50-50 with me. So what this is Brian and I have taken our team concept. As you guys already know, I was doing over 100 transactions a month with my teams, and we've taken this concept and how we've kind of worked with our team members, and we've started expanding into other parts of the country and into additional markets. And what's really cool about that is that it's done in such a way that each agent can really live the life that they want to live, and our goal is to help 2,000 agents get to where they're making between $150,000 and $400,000 a year, working 5 days a week, and taking ideally 8 weeks of vacation per year or more. And so it's a big task for us to accomplish that, and we're really hoping that some of you will be a part of that. And so a lot of you came to events that we held here recently in California and in Denver and some other places. Right now, our number one priority markets that we're going into are Southern and Northern California. We are open to other markets as well, as long as we've got the right people. So essentially what we look for before we'll go into an area and do an expansion team, we want to know that we've either got just a killer market that we just have to be in because the market is so incredible, or more importantly, we want to be in markets where we've got the right people that we want our kids to be around, people that we really feel good about, that we know that, hey, look, if I provide them with the training, the support, the leads, the technology, the transaction management, and if we literally take everything off your plate so that all you have to do is go out and work with buyers and sellers, and literally all you got to do is just put them in the transaction and then somebody else takes care of the rest, then guess what? That's where we want to be when we've got that right person. And so on today's call, we're going to walk through, okay, what are some of the splits, how does it work, and all that. But what I really want you guys to understand is it's not just about splits. It's about what do you make at the end of the year. The type of people that we want to work with care more about what they make at the end of the year and how much time they get to take off, what their quality of life is as they're doing that. If that's more important to you than splits, you're probably the kind of person we're looking for. If all you're concerned about is, nope, I want to make 100% of nothing, well, that's not the kind of person we're looking for. We're looking for the kind of people that want to be a part of a team, that really understand the value of a team, and we're going to do everything we can to help you be successful. So let me do this real quick. I'm going to share my screen with you real quick, and I'm going to show you kind of an example. Hang on one second. So let's go from current slide. All right, you guys should be able to see my screen now. Brian, are you able to see my screen?
I am now.
Okay, perfect. All right, so this is essentially Club Wealth Expansion Services is the name of our company that runs these teams. Some of the teams have different names depending on their market. Some of them are operating under the name of 30daysale.com, but understand that in each market it's going to be different depending on whether it's a team that we run on a national level or whether it's a team that we're running for another expansion partner. Go ahead, Brian.
So you've got you and I are frozen on the middle of your screen.
Hold on one second. Let me just do this. Boom, there we go. All right, I've gotten rid of that. Is that better?
Much better.
Thanks. Okay, so check it out. So let's talk about what does this look like. This diagram right here essentially shows a simplistic version, and it looks kind of complicated, but believe it or not, it's actually a simplistic version of what our expansion teams look like. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get the little spotlighter out here. So you guys should be able to see my little mouse here over this right here. That's Club Wealth Expansion Services. And then Club Wealth Expansion Services partners with some agents around the country, some of the bigger agents out there like Tristan Ahumada, for example, who's one of our expansion partners in Southern California. Those of you that came to our event down there in Long Beach and Newport, you would have met Tristan. He spoke at those events as well. Then we have this position here, which is called a regional director. Now, these regional directors always start off somewhere here where they're another position and they move up into one of these positions. What's really, really cool about this is that with our expansion teams, it's not just, hey, you're going to be a buyer's agent the rest of your life, or hey, you're going to be a listing agent the rest of your life. If you want that to be the case, that's great. But if you also want other opportunities to move up and advance and to also leverage yourself instead of just the team leaders being able to leverage themselves, well, then we want to help you with that. We really want to provide an opportunity for people to grow their book of business and grow a lifestyle for themselves that allows not just for today income, but for residual income long term. And now this is not some multi-level thing. That's not what we're talking about. We don't believe in that. This is not an MLM of any kind whatsoever. This is simply a leadership organization that helps us with training and motivation and accountability and all these types of things. So, and underneath this regional director position, you've got what are called LTLs. This is a local team lead. So this would be like, for example, a Sunit Agarwal in Sacramento, California. Sunit is the person in Sacramento who is responsible for our Sacramento expansion operation. And so what Sunit's job is to recruit agents to the team. It's to help support them, help train them, make sure that when they have questions about how do I write this up in this area, how do I solve this challenge, he's the first line of defense for those types of things. Then what happens is we get Brian Curtis, who's on the call with us today. Brian actually does like our daily huddles, for example. So on a daily basis for 30 minutes every single day, we're training all of the agents on our team. We're giving you guys tips and tricks and exactly what we do on how to do NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, or improving your sales skills, where to get business, how to get business, in addition to us providing you with that business. Okay, so underneath the LTL position, you'll also see there's a BATL and an LATL. This would be a buyer agent team lead and a listing agent team lead. A buyer agent team lead, let's assume that I'm a buyer's agent, right? So let's assume here I am, I'm a buyer's agent, and I've got another buyer's agent who is acting as the buyer agent team lead. What that means is these folks are specialists in working with buyers. They're very, very good at working with buyers. And so they go out and we give them buyer leads on a regular basis. We give them very good leads. We give them the systems, the tools, support on the back end to be able to manage and incubate those leads and turn them into transactions. That buyer agent team leader's job is answering questions for the buyer's agents on, hey, how do I write this transaction up? What do I do about this situation? And if they don't know the answer, if that buyer agent team lead can't help you solve that answer, then they're going to go to the listing team leader, or the local team leader, and that local team leader is going to help them resolve that concern, figure out that challenge, and help you come up with that right answer. Then we've also got showing assistants. At some point when we've got buyer's agents that are doing really, really well, we get down here to this SA level. So what we'll do is, let's say, for example, you're consistently, selling 5, 6, 7 homes a month, whatever. And by the way, that sounds like a huge number. It's really not. We can get you there. We very consistently have buyer's agents on our teams that do 5, 6, 10 transactions a month, even in California, believe it or not. And so that showing assistant, once you start hitting a certain level of production in your market, and we've identified that, hey, you're doing a great job on following up with the leads that we're giving you, and really all you need to be able to take it to another level is for somebody to help you just with the showings. Well, fantastic. We'd love to put showing assistants in place to help you be more efficient and more effective on getting more done in less time, so that, again, you can make more money in less time, and it's good for us too. All right, the listing agent team lead over here. You've got listing agents, and of course there's a listing agent team leader that helps them on the listing side, just like the buyer agent team lead would on the buyer side. There's other people on this team that we don't show on this diagram. For example, ISAs or inside sales agents who are making calls to generate and follow up with leads and incubate them to set appointments for our agents, both on the buyer and the seller side. So I'm sure you've probably got a lot of questions about this, and we're going to have time for those questions. In fact, right now, if you'd like, feel free to type your questions into the questions box on your screen, and we will definitely be answering your question while we're on the call today. And for those of you that want, we'll make your microphones live so that we can talk live one-on-one, and we'll answer your questions that way as well. So one of the things that you might be asking yourself at this point is, well, gosh, Michael, do I have to be a buyer's agent or a listing agent, or can I do both? And the answer is, it depends. The reality is, most people are going to be great at either being a buyer's agent or being a listing agent. Some people want to be able to do both, particularly with agents, or excuse me, with clients that are from their sphere of influence. So I'll give you an example. You've got a sphere of influence right now. You've got people that you know and that know, like, and trust you. Let's say that you're a buyer's agent on one of our teams, and someone from your sphere of influence wants to sell their home, and you would prefer to do that appointment rather than having one of our listing agents do that appointment. That's fine as long as your close ratio on those appointments hits a certain level. If you're only closing those appointments at 10%, it doesn't make sense for you to be the one to go on those listing appointments. We need to make sure somebody that can close at a much higher percentage goes on those listing appointments so that you get paid, and so that those leads don't fall through the cracks. That being said, if you also want to be able to go on listing appointments for leads that we generate, then that really does just come down to the numbers. It really comes down to what is your close ratio on listing appointments, and our expectation is that it needs to be very high. As a listing agent, you should be hitting about 75% on your close ratio on your listing appointments. Now, if you're only hitting 50% on closed appointments, we'll teach you how to get the other 25%. We're all about helping every single person improve their skill set so that you can make more money in the same amount of time, and in fact, we want you to take a lot of time off. Which brings me to my last point before I'm going to bring Brian on, who's going to talk about the why and some more things. I don't know if you can see the sign behind me, but it says that no success in the world can compensate for failure in the home. This is a very, very important mantra that we really truly believe in here at Club Wealth. We want you to have a great life. We want you to make a ton of money, and the two are not mutually exclusive. You can have both. We want you to take a lot of time off. There is no substitute for time with your family. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and, Brian, why don't you go ahead and talk to us a little bit about the why of being on a team.
All right, give me 1 second here. Slideshow from the beginning. All right, have you set it up so that I can show my screen, Michael?
Let's go ahead and make you the presenter now, and there you go.
All right. Give me 1 second. Show my screen, slideshow from the beginning. Okay, so, to me, why is everything? That's the question that we ask every single day, no matter what we're doing, is why are we doing this? Why would I want to be on a team versus work as an individual? Why would I want to be at brokerage A versus brokerage B? Why would I want to be a team leader, a listing agent, a buyer's agent? So I just put together some quick information about this because I really think that it's important. So the very first thing that we are offering people who want to be on our team is that we're going to guarantee them someone to talk to. I've always made the joke for years and years that we teach real estate agents how to write contracts, and we teach them, congratulations, you're licensed, now go forth and get your business. And most agents who I talk to when they get in the business, they say, the reason I got in this business is because I love houses. Well, I guess you can go preview some houses, but ultimately, who are you going to talk to? How are you going to get your business from where you're at today to the next thing? So one of the huge advantages for being on teams is we guarantee you some people to talk to. So right now we're starting at a guarantee of 30 leads per month. We actually are hoping that it's going to be a little bit higher than that, and usually we can, but I'm going to under-promise and over-deliver, so at least that. So what does that mean? So I'm going to go through some of the systems that we use. I'm going to go through some of the things that we use, but if an individual agent was going to do what we're going to do for them, estimate the total cost would be in excess of $4,000 a month. So, that's another good reason people won't want to do this, is that, it's expensive to do. And the truth of the matter is we can leverage this out and help everybody make more money and help everybody do that. So I think you kind of already brought this up, but, we're looking at a potential for people on our team to make somewhere between $100,000 and $400,000 a year. Depends on a bunch of different factors. I mean, it's challenging to make $400,000 a year in my market when the average sales price is $188,000. As Michael makes fun of me for $35, transactions. It's not quite that bad, but it's definitely not $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 transactions.
Whatever. You're the king of real estate. Just call it what it is.
I'll do what I can. So, free real life coaching from experts. So, if you are to coach with me, in just on a monthly basis, we actually charge $2,000 a month to directly coach with me. So, is that a value? Can you call me if you're on my team? You can call me every single day if you want. Obviously, if I've got 30 people calling me every single day, it gets a little out of control, but realistically, most people don't do that. But, you're having a problem with this, you're doing this, you need help with this, then that's what I do. That's what I love. That's where my passion is at, is coaching. So instead of paying me $2,000 a month, you basically get to coach with me for free. All right, next slide. So administrative support. One of the things that I know, if I could go back, I say this all the time when people talk to me, I wish I could go back in time to the day that I started in real estate and just have a 15-minute conversation with that guy and say, look, these are the 100 things that you're going to do wrong, and these are how you fix them, and these are how today you're retired instead of talking to you guys. Not that I don't like talking to people, but the reality is that if I could go back and tell that person those things, it would be amazing, and I could take so many shortcuts. The very first one is don't do things you're bad at, and what I mean by that is I'm bad at paperwork. Does that mean I can't do it? Doesn't mean that, at the end of the day I'm making a bunch of mistakes? No, but what it means, it's not my passion, I don't love it, and ultimately I'm doing it just to get it done, not to do it correctly. So free administrative support, right now it depends on your market, obviously, but I've got 3 administrators on my local team, and, they cost me somewhere between $30,000 to $50,000 a year, depending on what they're doing and their level of importance. So,
but Brian, that's each, Brian. That's not just for one of them. That's each.
Absolutely. I know someone told me the other day, I'm spending $100,000 running my team in 2017. I said, well, I wish I was only spending $100,000 because that's what I'm spending on staff. Yeah. So, and I'm not complaining about that. It's, we are definitely blessed and happy to do that. It's a great opportunity to help other people get ahead in their life too. It's, when you get to actually hire someone, it's a great thing. But the truth of the matter is, if you're doing 20 transactions on your own, can you afford a $50,000 a year employee? Again, depending on your market, maybe not. So it's nice to not have to worry about that. It's nice to not have to worry about the expenses. Probably, if I had to say the absolute one thing that makes a team great for a lot of agents is at the end of the day, they're not writing a check. So I'm writing a check for X number of dollars for my team, whether we close one deal or whether we close 100 deals. I still have to write that check. I still have to pay staff. I still have to pay for the leads. I still have to pay for everything. So the beauty of being on the team is all I want you to do is get in your car, show houses, write contracts, call leads, wash, rinse, repeat. So that's what it's all about. You don't have to do that. So it basically lowers all your costs. Michael has said this several times, and I completely agree with it. When I was a single agent and doing anywhere between 50 and 100 transactions a year, I had no balance. The funny story is Michael tried to not take me on as a coaching client when we first started together. And, his number one thing was, if you don't take a day off, I won't work with you. So, I've taken that and expressed that to the agents that we work with too. We don't want you working 365 days a year. For selfish reasons, I don't want you working 365 days a year because you're burnout, and by the end of it, you're a mess. But from different reasons, we really want people to have a life that they're happy with. I don't want someone to be on our team for a year and say, yeah, I made a bunch of money, but I was absolutely miserable. We want you to be happy. We want your life to have balance. And, one of the beauties of being on a team is we help each other out. So if you need help, if you need someone to show a house for you, if you need, help on how to write a contract, whatever it is, we're there for you. And I think that's one of the big things. Here's the thing. It's also a great, as I call it, a USP. You guys will hear me talk about USPs a lot. But it's a great USP, unique selling proposition, that I can go to an agent, or excuse me, a buyer who I'm working with and say, look, I'm not available 24/7, but the truth of the matter is basically Monday through Sunday, someone on our team is available to show you a house if you need it. And that really matters to people because ultimately people want to get into houses, they want to get into them now, and that's one of the other advantages of being on a team is that we can leverage our teammates and they leverage us too.
Yeah. You know, and Brian, as you're talking about this, actually, could you go back to that other slide real quick? I wanted to mention something that, you know, Brian's talking about all this support that we give you, and what I want you to understand is the $50,000 a year value there, that's a really low number. It's actually way, way, way more than that because we don't have just one or two assistants. We have a multitude of assistants that each do something very, very specific throughout the transaction to ensure that everything's done at the highest level possible for each and every client. What that means is that the client experience is a very different experience. It's a much better experience than when you've got one person trying to figure it all out. That's very, very important. So it's a lot more value than just that $50,000. So anyway, just in terms of all of the stuff that we provide, we're really, our goal here is we're kind of giving you the conservative view of it, but understand that we're giving you way, way, way more than we're telling you about today. So.
Absolutely. So, and to that point, I kind of brought this up, you know, it's easier to keep your clients. It's easier to get more clients. And really what we really want you to focus on is the part that makes you money. We do an exercise in coaching where we call them 2200s. And those aren't realistic numbers, but I think it makes a point. I want you to list all the $20 an hour tasks you're doing. I want you to list all the $200 an hour tasks you're doing. And most people, if they go back and they look at that list, 80% of their time is spent doing $20 an hour tasks. We want to shift you away from those $20 an hour tasks. They're necessary, but why don't we have somebody else do them for you so that you can go out and do $200 an hour tasks? And again, that's going to vary from market to market, but the concept's the same, is that, you know, there are tasks that you can pay somebody else to do or have us pay someone else to do, and then there's tasks that go out and make you money. You know, lead generation, showing houses, going on listing appointments, writing contracts. Those are $200 an hour tasks, or honestly, in most markets, a lot more. You know, writing an inspection report, that's a $20 an hour task. So we want you to focus on the things that make you money over and over and over again. And the truth is, you get mastery in that area. So I don't want to master writing an inspection report. That's kind of boring, and the truth of the matter is once I've done it a couple times, I've probably mastered it, but I'm not making any money doing it. So it's about what can I do to make more money with the same amount of time? How can I leverage myself? And that's what a team is all about. And I promise you that I didn't believe this until it happened, but being on a team, my clients get so much better support. And oddly enough, it's not necessarily for me. They get to know the people on our team, and they get to talk to Chris, and they get to talk to Hallie, and they get to talk to Anita, all the people on our team, and they feel supported. Now, we explain that to them on the front end so they don't, you go, who's this person? Why are they calling me? But ultimately, at the end of the day, they're much happier. They have a much better experience, and everybody wins. So, and ultimately, you know, this is what we want, and we believe that if it's a right fit for you, we can help you achieve your goals. So, all right, I wanted to talk a little bit about where some of our leads come from. So our main lead source, and this is what we'll be using for our expansion teams, is a company called Ylopo. And Ylopo, basically, this is a front end of my actual website that I use here locally. And you can type in here, you can type in the location, and basically you can go out and do a search. And when you do a search, basically this is what pops up. So at some point in time, it will lead capture you, which basically means if I click on 3606 Legacy Lane, eventually it'll pop up and say, hey, if you want more information about this house, and it captures you. We also do other ways to capture you before you get there. We're ultimately driving everybody to these websites. Other really cool things, and this is one of the things that I love about Ylopo, it's unique to them, is you can see here over on the second block says free home warranty and appraisal for VA buyers. So we have a program that if you are a veteran, that we get you a free home warranty and a free appraisal. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, we have a block that says click here for VIP buyer benefits. So we incorporate all of this stuff together. It drives people to capture, and it also is great buying indicators. If someone's interested in knowing about a VIP buyer program, they're a much stronger buyer than someone who's just out looking at houses, because we can have people who are looking at houses. I had somebody I saw today. I get multiple notifications for them. They viewed the same houses 11 times in the last 2 days, and that person has been viewing houses on my website for approximately 2.5 years. So that guy may not be someone who I'm going to close next week, but ultimately those are generally good things, and we get to know about that information. And one of the really cool things that we've got going on is myself and Tristan, for those of you guys who are in Southern California, we are working directly with Ylopo, with Howard Taggart, who's the owner, and with G, who's the developer, to actually create these things that work. And I'll show you some of the cool things that we've come up with. So every single lead, once they come in, they have to go into a CRM, and I broke this down. This is a big picture approach of what our CRM is, but I broke down each portion moving forward, so I'm just going to kind of start clicking to that. So this is one of the things that I think is amazing that our system does. One of the things that we know is that you guys are out showing houses, and therefore you may not have the opportunity to talk to a lead when it comes into the website. Well, we actually do what's called a behavioral text. So a lead is gone for, say, 2 weeks and off doing other things, not looking at houses, and they come back, and you can see this. So we send a behavioral text on behalf of this client. Hi, Martha, it's Lita Campbell's assistant. I saw you looked at listing on my website. I found a few similar ones. Can I send them to you? The client responded, yes, thank you. Lita, who's the agent in that scenario, didn't even know that that happened until she was notified it happened. She didn't send the text message. The system sent the text message. It's a pretty amazing feature that we have that goes on with this. Other things, here's another example, that same person, and they saw that, and the client responded, they're going to buy soon. What's better than someone telling you, yeah, I'm going to buy a house soon? So now we have a real key indicator to reach out to that person and say, hey, Martha, this is Lita. We wanted to check in and see, when you might want to go look at some houses. Is Thursday better or Friday better? So, one of the big things that we find even in real estate as we build a bigger team is that how do we know who to call? If I've got a database, for example, I have a database of about 18,000 people, who do I call today? So things like this have made improvements, and we're working on more and more and more to figure out who should I call today, why should I call them, when should I call them, and it really has changed our ability to hone in on who's the next person out there who's going to go buy a house. So other things about the CRM that I think are important and just wanted to cover real quickly. You can see the source in this case was Ylopo. This person came in about 3 months ago. Here's their phone number, here's their name, here's their mobile address, but we also have tags. So this person was tagged that they were going to buy a house in about 3 to 6 months, and honestly that's pretty accurate because they came in 3 months ago, and the person said they were buying soon. It shows some zip codes that they've looked at. Then it also shows that they've responded to a behavioral text and that they've come back. This here is a link to another part of our back end, and I'll show that. But here's some other cool things. They've logged in 27 times. They've looked at 37 listings and actually saved 10 listings. So what's kind of cool about that is I can actually go into the system, and I'll show you here, and I can actually see what they viewed. So these are an example. I didn't show them all. I just showed the top bunches of them. I can see what house they looked at, the number of times that they've looked at it, and the day they've looked at it. So I like to say this is advanced cyber stalking. So I can actually see what they looked at, when they looked at it, how many times they looked at it. I can also see their favorites. So this is a list of houses that they consider their favorites. It really helps me kind of key in on what they like, what they might not like, just anything that I can do to talk to this person and make myself more valuable. Most agents, if they're lead generating, are making a phone call, say, hey, I saw that you called a couple months ago, or you made an inquiry a couple months ago. I can go in and say, hey, that house on 4487 Warwick, I actually went and looked at that the other day. Let me tell you some pretty cool things about that house. So I know more information about these people simply because they're giving it to me over and over again. And those are the things that I really love about our system, and it continually works. But I just wanted to also then cover some commission breakdowns. So this is a question I get every single time we talk about teams, is what are the commission breakdowns look
Brian,
like?
can I ask you a question? Before you do that, sure. I want to also let you guys know, if we go back to the lead gen slide, or just hang tight, that's fine where you're at. But just, guys, what I want you to know is Ylopo is just one of our lead sources. It's a great lead source. It provides us with a higher quality of lead than a lot of the other lead sources out there. That's one of the main reasons why we like it, because all the leads are verified. We get good contact information, all that good stuff. But we also we buy leads in all kinds of other ways. We market for leads in all kinds of other ways. We have a ton of different lead sources that we use to keep your pipeline full on the top end all the time. There's really three things that every agent's got to do if they want to make a great living, right? And that is lead generation, lead follow-up, and lead conversion. Well, the reality is we're going to do most of the lead generation for you. You'll still do some, right? You're still going to contact your sphere of influence, have conversations with them, that sort of thing. But the reality is that we're going to be bringing in a massive quantity of leads. And when we say 30, that's on the low end. The reality is we usually provide about 50, 55 leads for each one of our buyer's agents. And sometimes when we're growing a new market, sometimes by that third month that we've got an agent in a new market, all of a sudden we have a huge influx of leads and you end up with way more leads than you can possibly handle. But what we found is if we can consistently make sure that you've got 50 to 55 really high quality leads every single month that you can very easily make, if you're just doing what you need to do as part of your part of this, you should be bringing home without any expenses. You shouldn't have any expenses at all. We take care of all the expenses, but you should be bringing home about $250,000 a year. And I'm talking about in a normal week. This is without going crazy on how much time you've got to put into this, or how much effort, or how much overall mental anguish or mental energy that you have to put into your entire process. And that's a big piece of this, is we're taking that out of it so that you don't have to be worried about, oh my gosh, where's my next paycheck going to come from? I spent all this time working the leads I have and I forgot to lead generate, and so now I've got I may have made a bunch of money, but now I'm going back and down that roller coaster income, and that a lot of people in real estate experience, because while I was doing all this lead follow-up, I forgot to lead generate. Well, that's not going to happen on the team because we're taking so much of that out of it for you. So anyway, Brian, go ahead. Let's talk about splits and the rest.
All right, I want to tag just one thought. The reason I showed specifically Ylopo is that every single one of our leads is going to go into that CRM, and then every single one of our leads, we actually send them to our website. So one of the big problems that people run into in the industry today is, let's say I bought a Realtor.com lead, and that Realtor.com lead then goes back to Realtor.com, and guess what? That became kind of Michael's lead, and then it becomes Bob's lead and Fred's lead and Sue's lead. Before we know it, that lead got bought by 17 people, and Realtor.com goes, I'm selling you all these leads. It's a great deal. So what we want to do is take every single lead that we get, drive them into our website, say, hey, our website's better anyway. You want to look here. It's more accurate. And also, one of the really cool indicators about our website is I can tell when people come back. So when I log in every single day to do lead generation, the number one thing I do is sort by activity, and I can see every single person who was on my website today, yesterday, and the last 4, 5, 6, 10 hours. And I'm not saying that guarantees that people are going to stay on there, but we're trying to do a better form of communication with them as well. So yeah, that's absolutely true. We use other lead sources, but I wanted everyone to understand that we want to be able to cyberstalk these people at a high level. So,
well, and Brian, you mention this all the time, and you're absolutely right. So many people in the industry are just focused on, oh, I got to get more leads. No, it's not about more leads. We're not trying to just cram thousands of leads down your throat. We want to give you better quality leads so that you don't have to call 3 billion people to get one transaction. It's ridiculous how many people's agents are calling now to get to one transaction. So if we can provide you with better and better and better leads all the time, and if we can help with a lot of the incubation process by automating a lot of it with drip text, drip email, drip video text, all the stuff that we do on the back end, broadcast voicemails. I mean, there's so many things that we can do from a technology standpoint to really help you be more efficient and effective so that you don't have to spend endless hours on the phone trying to get to that one transaction. And so lead quality, and people will say, oh, it's not the leads, the leads don't suck, you suck. Sometimes it is the leads. There are leads that suck. Okay. I mean, and so we don't want to give you sucky leads. We want to give you great leads so that you can take your great follow-up habits and implement those with those great leads and get great results. So go ahead, Brad.
Absolutely. So I'm going to talk about the thing that everybody asked me about now. The one on the team. It's almost the number one question is, what's the commission breakdown? So this is a simple commission breakdown for a buyer's agent. Basically, we cover everything. We're going to pay for the admin. We're paying for the leads. The only thing I want you to do, like I kind of mentioned earlier, I want you to call people. I want you to set appointments. I want you to write contracts, and I want you to go to closings. And I want you to wash, rinse, repeat over and over and over again. For that, after all those fees are paid, we do a 50-50 split. So that's after paying you, everything is done. So we pay for the admin, so it's not on top of it. And each office has a little bit different splits, so we have to work. Each office has a little bit different administrative fees, and so I don't have a slide specifically on that because ultimately it varies from office to office. We also offer a tiered structure, and the reason I didn't even put that up is because we don't offer that until you've been on the team for at least 90 days. The reason being is if you don't have success initially in that first 90 days, you'll actually get paid less. So, but I have an agent on my team who makes 55 to 60% commission splits on any given month because he's out closing more deals. So if you're a person who's going to be a rock star out closing 4, 5, 6, 7 deals a month, you can actually be at a higher split and you're making more money in it, and it doubles it. So it's a great opportunity. You know, we feel like these numbers are great. One of the things that I've known, if you look across the industry, is apparently we're actually paying better than a lot of people. There are agents out there making 30 and 40% on the buy side, and which surprises the heck out of me. But you know, our goal is not to make money off the backs of people. It's to create a win-win situation. So, you know, we're taking all the responsibility on, we're paying all the bills. At the end of the day, you go out, write contracts, and cash commission checks. So that's kind of our goal.
Yeah, and one of the things too that you didn't mention there is that not only can you increase the percentage that you're getting in commissions on a transactional basis by doing more transactions, at some point as you show that, hey, I'm a leader, I want to do a great job, I want to really help everybody else on the team to be successful as well, those leadership positions become available. And now as you are, you know, maybe you're a buyer agent team lead, maybe you're a listing agent team lead, maybe you're a local team leader, as you move into some of these leadership positions, you can now get paid a percentage of all the transactions that the people that you're helping perform. And so literally there's unlimited opportunity with this. Now, I see that we have a lot of questions. Brian, did you have more to cover, or do you want to go to questions now?
No, I'd rather go to questions. I'd rather talk. I'd rather answer questions than just talk at people. So I think that's a better way to handle it.
Perfect. Go ahead and let's see. I'm going to start. I'm going to stop showing the screen there. Okay, perfect. We've gotten rid of the screen share, and here we go. We've got a bunch of questions from folks, so we're going to get started from the top down. And Michael Harkins, I'm going to go ahead and unmute your microphone. Michael, are you there? Can we hear you?
Hello there. I am.
How are you, Michael? Hey, tell everybody who you are and where you're from.
In Orange County, Southern California.
Right on. Now, you had a couple of questions. You had a question. Let's start with your question about transaction coordinators and assistants. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I didn't understand if that was all part of a pre-organization that's established by you guys, up the ladder, or do we pick our own down here?
Yeah, we've actually got all that in place for you already. We've got, and here's the really beauty of it, is that they're highly experienced already. These are people that are already in our hub in Bentonville, Arkansas, which is where Brian lives. So Brian and his wife, Lisa, run that entire administrative team. And so they are there with them all the time and provide them with leadership and guidance and all the things that they need to be successful for us there in that role. And so, yeah, you don't have to worry about going out and interviewing anybody or paying anybody or hiring anybody. Any of that, we take care of all that. So,
okay, follow on.
What's that?
Follow on if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I don't know if either of you have ever lived in California, but these rules are different.
Yes, and we have administrative team members that are specifically trained in each state. So we won't go into a state until we have administrative team members that know what they're doing in that state for that very reason. And that's why we can't just say, okay, we're going to take on every state all of a sudden. We can't do it. Yeah, we don't have the bandwidth for it. What we have to do is be very strategic about it. We're already deep in California, so we've already got California dialed in. That's easy. Washington, California, Arkansas, Texas. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Colorado. We're dialed in already in some states that we have identified are states that we want to be in, and our teams are already trained in those states and how to make sure that we're compliant in every way in those states. So great question. Now you also had a question on lead distribution. You want to ask that one?
Oh, you went blank again.
Can you hear me now, Michael?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so you had a question about lead distribution as well?
Oh, is that a one-to-one, one lead to one agent?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Uh, or does a particular lead or set of leads go out to multiple agents in an area?
So it gets around.
It's not going to go to multiple agents on our team. So
Right.
what I can't help is if somebody over at the Remax next door bought that same lead, because they signed up on our website and then they went to Realtor.com and they went to Zillow and then they went to God only knows what. That we can't stop.
Right.
But if you're on the team, we're not going to have you competing for the same lead inside the team. Now, the reality is this. I've had this happen. Probably happens about 10 times a year on our local team. I've got 14 agents who are sharing leads, if you will. And, Susie goes in, she becomes a lead, and then Bob, her husband, goes in and becomes a lead. They put in different phone numbers. They put in different email addresses. I can't know that those are the same people. So, we work that out. And again, what I'm talking about, our team looks at somewhere between 600 to 800 leads a month, and that happens maybe 10 to 15 times a year. So yeah. Is it a problem that exists? Yes. Is it a realistic problem that we're worried about? Not really. And the thing is, we all kind of work together, and it's a real simple rule. We just go back into the CRM and see who talked to them first, and whoever talked to them first, it's their lead. And again, 10 to 15 times a year for, however many leads that comes out to a year, it's not a big deal. We're talking,
Sure.
Not a big deal.
Good stuff. All right. Good questions, Michael. Thank you very much for that. Any other questions, Michael?
Don't know if you're going to get into it later, maybe in the first get-together, but I'm curious about metrics and expectations.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, I'll say this. Let's talk about that real quick. I think that's a great thing to talk about. So in terms of expectations, what we expect is we want to see every single one of our agents doing at least 2 transactions a month at a bare minimum. And you should be able to do that as a part of the team far easier than you can do 1 transaction a month on your own. I mean, it really, if you're currently doing a transaction every other month or even every 3 months, you should be able to easily become an agent on our team that does between 2 and 3 transactions every month. If you're already doing, let's say you're doing 1 or 2 transactions a month right now, we should very easily be able to get you to 5 or 6 transactions a month as a part of our team. Keep in mind now, you're not going to be doing all of the stuff that takes you away from the $200 an hour activities, and that's kind of our goal. Is we want to get your dollars per hour up. That's really the most important key metric. Is what are your dollars per hour? If you're making, right now, let's say you're making, and if we went and figured it out after all your expenses and everything, let's say you make, $200,000 in a year, you probably really only made about half that by the time you factor in your expenses and taxes and all this other stuff. We want to get that number way higher for you, and particularly your dollars per hour, because we all only have so much time in the day. So that's the biggest key metric right there, is we want to make sure that each team member is doing at least 2 transactions a month. Now, if you're in a market where the average commission is $10,000 a month, or excuse me, $10,000 a transaction, would it be permissible that you only did, 1 transaction a month? Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't ask you to leave the team at that point, because at least we know where we're recovering some of our investment in you. At the same time, we'd really like to help you do better than that, and we know that we can. So we want to make that the priority. So.
All right, let me talk about a couple other things along that line, Michael. So expectations. So a couple of things. First of all, Michael mentioned this. We do what's called morning huddles. Morning huddles are where we get together, we talk about problems, we talk about concerns, we do training, we have different opportunities there to talk about what's going on in your business. And as honestly, I kind of make a joke about this. The morning huddle for our team locally here is at 7:30. So I know that at least everybody on our team's up by 7:29. So we know as real estate agents, we're not necessarily known as a group of people who are rocking and rolling early in the morning. But, successful people, when you read the books, I think I read a book that the average CEO in our country gets up at 4:15 every day. Honestly, I'm probably not up at 4:15, but I'm definitely up, not too much after that, unfortunately, it feels like sometimes. But we want to make sure that you're there on that morning huddle. So that's an expectation. We are going to have training events that are on a monthly basis. We expect you to be in those training events. And then we also, expect you to make phone calls. And I know that sounds, pretty cliche and pretty simple, but we do a different thing. So it used to be a lot of people across the country are saying, okay, you need to make 20 phone calls a day, 30 phone calls a day, 50 phone calls a day, whatever that number is. We've actually moved away from that metric, and we're focusing on outcomes, and we found that it really is much more successful. So, we're setting number of appointments that you set. My goal for every single person on my team is to go on at least 5 appointments a week. And if you're going on 5 appointments a week, I promise you're closing 2 deals a month. And it takes a while to get up to, but it's interesting because I kind of laugh at people. If I tell you got to make 30 phone calls every single day, and you dial the phone 30 times and nobody answers, what are you going to do from 8:45 to 5? Because it took you 45 minutes to dial the phone 30 times. So we're really focusing on how I can be successful in this business. And here's the thing, I'm not asking you to have 50 phone conversations a day. If there's a guy in California who says you want to make $1 million a year, you got to talk to 50 people a day. I'd be honest with you, I probably don't talk to 50 new people a day. Sometimes I feel like I talk to 50 people a day, but the truth of the matter is you can do just fine by simply setting 1 to 2 appointments a day. You'll be uber successful in this business. And if that's really all it takes, and if you're not bothered about checking my email and you're doing all these other things that get us caught up and being busy but not being effective, then it's actually a lot easier than you think. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that, Brian. You guys, again, this really comes down to real estate's gotten a lot more complicated, and it's getting more and more complicated every day, particularly on the marketing side. We have technology experts on our teams. We have people that are specialists in every area of the transaction, from lead generation to lead incubation to transaction coordination. I mean, every piece of this process. It gets to the point now where you've got to have experts for all of it, because you just can't be the expert in all of it. It's just not possible anymore. It's getting way too competitive for that. And so we're breaking it down into that level where you focus on those things that you're best at. All right, we've still got some great questions here coming in, and they keep coming in. So thank you for that, you guys. I'm going to go to Seema. I apologize, Seema. Seema, I just unmuted you on my end. Can you unmute us on your end? There you go, Seema. How are you?
Yes, good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you
Fantastic.
for asking.
Tell everybody who you are, where you're from.
I am Seema Saidi, and I live in Irvine. I recently moved here, and I'm with Home Smart Evergreen Realty.
Right on. Shout out to, is that Randy's office or Shannon's office?
Randy's office.
That's Randy's office. Randy Rector, super cool guy, #1 Home Smart broker in the country. Love that guy. Very smart guy.
I'm very excited, and I saw your program the other day. I came to the meeting, and what you talked about, it seemed very interesting. Obviously there's some questions regarding these qualified leads. Are they qualified as far as getting loans? And also you just mentioned that you're going to give it to a few people. So whomever picks it up quicker are the ones that are going to be the lead owners, or
go ahead, Brian. I'm going to let you do that one, Brian.
Certain process for that.
So it varies. So there are leads, email leads come in on a round robin. So in other words, if a Realtor.com lead or a YLOPO lead came in on a round robin, that's going to go to person A, then person B, then C, then D, then E, however many people are on the team. However, we know this in 2017, and I think anyone who's been a real estate agent for more than 15 minutes would probably agree with this. The #1 lead in this business in 2017 is somebody who calls you. So what we do with incoming phone calls is we do call broadcasts. And the reason that we do that is I used to actually assign them to one person. They come in, it would ring their phone, and if they didn't answer it, then it would go to voicemail, and hopefully they would follow up. Well, the problem is if you're out showing a property to somebody, if you're in a listing appointment with somebody, if you're in this meeting right here, you're not going to stop and take that phone call. So what was happening is the reality is that we were losing deals. So what we do is we call broadcasts. What I mean by that is, let's say there's 8 people on the team. It rings to 8 people's phones simultaneously. Whoever's the first person to pick it up, they pick up that phone call and take it. Now, what's the downside of that? Well, sometimes you get to talk to a real estate agent who was out in front of your sign and wanted to know how to make an appointment. That's kind of a bummer. But when someone's sitting in their car going, hey, I'd really like to see this house, that's an amazing hot lead. And that's why we want to make sure, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, that it's better to have one of your teammates get the lead than it is for someone over at another company to get that lead. So,
well, of course. And then are there any particular process in taking the calls to know if they are working with another agent or not. In my experience, I have noticed that I have worked with a client, you know, even though I was under the impression that they are not, then they turn around and go away and buy some from somebody else, which is very painful. And I'm sure everybody has had that experience.
Everybody has. You're right. And there,
for that?
so, you know, that's a scripting issue. Obviously, there's no way that you can tell on a phone call or even on an email whether someone's actually working with another agent or not. But so I'll give you a quick script. Even if you don't join our team, this is a great script that we use every day on our team. So most agents say this. It'd be like, you know, hey Bob, are you working with another agent already? And then the person would go, yep, I am. Well, once they say that, you're kind of done. You can't really go into somebody and say, well, that's a bad agent, you should work with me. So instead, we ask a different question, and really it gets to the same point. The question is, so how many houses have you looked at, or have you just started in your process? Where are you at in your process? Oh, I've looked at 5 or 6 houses. Well, great. Well, who's shown you those houses? Most of the time, people will say something like, well, the listing agent showed me the houses, or you know, that guy over at Remax, and I can't remember his name. So why is that a better question? Because you can't answer no to that question. Now, the reality is that people are looking with other people. Here's the number that I use on my team. It's 7. So if you remember that number, make the assumption that by the time you've talked to somebody, they're talking to 7 other agents. That's a good assumption. It's not going to be 100% true all the time. So, you know, what do we do? So why would you want to work with me versus somebody else? Well, we've got programs like we have a VIP buyer program, which is an amazing program to help people. So what we're trying to do is just bring more value. And, you know, we want to make sure that those people are out there and working a lead. So you also mentioned pre-qualified. So I don't pre-qualify leads. As a matter of fact, I think it's one of the biggest mistakes that real estate agents make all over the country. You know, are you pre-qualified to buy a house? Well, if you ask me that as a buyer, I'm going to like, look, you just offended me. You know, I make plenty of money. I've got a good job. I've got good credit. Don't ask me if I'm pre-qualified. So we don't ask that question in person until we get into a person. One of the number one things that people do is they assume that they're good salespeople on the phone. Stop selling on the phone. It doesn't work. We're not good enough at it. 7% of communication is verbal. So that means that 93% of the communication you are unable to have unless you're in person with those people. So, you know, I hope that answers your question better. They're not necessarily going to be approved with a lender. Some of them will be, but that's not necessarily what we consider a good lead. And the reality is they probably have looked at houses with other people. Now we just have to make sure that, you know, from a compliance standpoint, we want to make sure that, you know, someone's in an agency agreement with another agent, that we're not trying to steal that person. But my rule of thumb is if you can't remember the name of the agent who showed you the house, you're my client now. So.
Right. 2 other quick questions.
Yes.
If you have leads already on your own or pick up leads on your own, talking to somebody, and then is that still part of your program for the split, or are they handled differently? That's number 1. And number 2, I signed up for L2L and for the free trial, and then I believe it was you know, $30 a month. Is that part of the program that we have to be assigned and registered to, or is that completely different entity of the program that Club Wealth offers?
So I'll take these if it's all right, Brian. So first on L2L, we love L2L. For, you know, if you're a single agent out there and you're just doing your own thing and you're not a part of a team, and then L2L is and we even have a discount link for those guys, so you can contact the office. And if you're not going to be on a team, then that's a great tool to use to kind of help you be the Lone Ranger and get leads coming in and get some traction online. So we do love it. As a team, we have, and again, nothing bad about L2L. I absolutely love L2L. As a team, we have technology that's way beyond L2L. It's way above.
Well, I want to be a part of a team, so that's.
Yeah, so you won't need L2L. We'll put it that way. You don't need to mess with any of that stuff. We do all of that for you.
That's good. That's what I like.
Yeah, you don't have to touch any of that kind of stuff. We will literally do all of that. We do all the Craigslist posting. We do all the other online posting. We do all the Facebook ads, lead ads. Literally, we do everything. You don't have to do any of that kind of stuff. And so now to your other question was, what if we do find business that's, you know, that we go get on our own? It's a sphere of influence or something like that. The short answer is Yes, those can be handled differently, and it's dependent on how that lead came in, and was it truly something that you brought in? Was it something the team that brought in? Here's the bottom line: the reality is we're going to keep you so busy with leads that we're going to give you. You're not going to have time to do a lot of lead generation. Everybody always says, "Oh, I'm bringing in all this business on my own." The reality is, we're going to help you make a ton more money, and you're not going to be bringing in a lot on your own. And don't get me wrong, we'd love for you to do that. We'd love for you to bring your own leads in, but that's not a requirement. So.
It seems like your program is definitely fair with the leads, and I'm good with buyers. Of course, I've worked with sellers in the past, but not that many. But I do have a few clients of my own or tenants that are in my residential rentals that eventually they want to buy their own property. So they're going to be the ones that I would bring in, or family members. Like my brother is somebody who I'm trying to find something. That's why I was asking that question.
Yeah, no, we pay those.
Oh,
go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, the simple short answer. Go ahead. Sorry, cut you off.
Part of the team.
Yeah. So go ahead, Brian.
Say that one more time.
How do we sign up to be part of the team?
Oh, well, that's a great question.
So I'll tell you, next steps on that is you're going to call 206-300-1000. That's Tara's number at the office. That's our customer service line. And you're going to let her know you need to call with Brian as soon as possible. So the key here is we're going to get you on the phone. Brian's going to be reaching out to everybody that's on the webinar here. He's going to be reaching out to you guys all by phone. If you haven't already, make sure you right now in your questions box, type in your phone number, give us your cell phone number so that Brian can personally reach out and have a one-on-one conversation with each one of you. And that also goes, I see one of the questions that's in here is, what about our split with our broker? How is that handled and all that? And those are the types of questions that we want to handle one-on-one with you, with Brian, because it's different in every office that we're in. And so we do the very best we can, and we're pretty good at negotiating with the brokers to get a very good deal for our team members. And we can usually get that split down. We can make it so that you keep more of what you make, and that's our goal. Is we want to make sure we're putting as much in your pocket as we possibly can. I'm seeing a lot of people typing, "I'm excited! I can't wait! Let's get started! I want to do it right now! I love it." Okay, so the next question we have is from. Let's see here. Michael was talking about buyer-broker agreements in California. Yes, we love buyer-broker agreements. We are big advocates of getting buyer agency agreements signed by your buyers. We have really, really good dialogues and scripts that we can use to do that, and the VIP buyer program really does help with that. Because again, we want you to get paid, and we want you to get paid well. You deserve to get paid well for what you do. All right, so hang on, going through some other questions here. Holy cow, you guys, I'm stoked. I would love to join your team. Let's do it. Also, type in what city you're in, you guys. That would also be helpful. Let's see. Okay, HomeSmart.
Go ahead. Lost Michael.
Did you lose me? Am I here?
You're back.
Okay.
You're back.
I'm not sure what just happened. Exactly. It's my dial-up showing. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe too many people in the office are streaming video when they should be working. I'm just joking, you guys. All right, so Evergreen has their own online required system. Can we comply? And yes, Michael, with all the brokerages that we are in, we are very compliant with everything they're doing, whether it's on the loan side, or on the sales side. We're very, very keen on being compliant. How do prospects and buyer leads stay with our agent as most work with a few agents at a time? How do you handle that? I think you just covered that. So I think we're good on that question. And let's see. Sabrina's like, I'm stoked. Let's get it going. Oh, and Michael's like, Coda de Casa. Coda de Casa. Seriously, isn't that like the Desperate Housewives of Orange County? I mean, holy, I can see Michael now. He's going to be door to door in Coda de Casa. Hey, no, I'm just totally joking, Michael. I'm giving you a hard time. All right. Yeah, that is a terrible joke. I know. It's horrible. All right. So that being said, yeah, Seema, can those splits be negotiated also? Yes, we work very hard to make sure that we're negotiating those splits on your behalf. And again, it really comes down to we want to put as much money in your pocket as we possibly can. So that being said, we are on the hour. Brian, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up? And if anybody's got any final questions, now's the time.
No, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for being on. I look forward to talking to each and every one of you and getting the opportunity to work with you. I'm excited about it.
Right on, me too. I appreciate you guys all being on. Thank you very, very much. And hey, we're stoked. This is going to be exciting, and we've got a lot of opportunity for all of you. And here's what it really comes down to, you guys. We succeed or we fail together. And so we are all in this together. And Brian wasn't joking when he said that you get access to Brian and I more than anybody else in anything we do, more than our coaching clients, more than other agents out there. You guys get access to us unlimited. You've got our cell phone numbers. We're here for you. This is our priority. Our priority is helping our teams grow in the markets they're in and be successful in the markets they're in while having a great life and enjoying time with their family and doing the things that they enjoy. So anyway, that being said, you guys, really appreciate all of you being on, and Brian's going to be reaching out to you. Don't forget, you can, Brian, why don't you do this? Can you give us your cell phone number real quick?
Sure. I didn't have anything else to do today, so I'm sure it'll ring anyway. So it's if everybody's ready, it's 479-531-2317. That's 479-531-2317.
Right on. All right, so you guys are more than welcome to reach out to Brian on his cell phone as well, and let's just make it happen. So have a great day, everybody, and hey, hopefully we'll be seeing you on one of our teams here soon. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.